Good Wednesday morning. Boomer's still out in Vegas, gallivanting around with the NFL Today crew. He will be back for our kickoff to summer show on Friday down the shore at DJ's. So that means that Jerry Recco is back in for Boomer and CeeLo is in for Jerry. Good morning, Jerry. How are you?
What is up, G? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I've got some stuff this week. I've got a very busy week.
Busy week.
Every week's a busy week now. And I think I've decided that I do enjoy the busyness as opposed to the sitting around. I was waffling back and forth. I was vacillating back and forth between these things. Do I like busy? Do I not like busy? Should I stop doing things? Should I stop saying yes to things?
Now, busy's good.
And I'm saying yes to a lot of things.
Good for you.
I think it's because I'm not 250 pounds any longer and coughing up acid reflux all day long.
And you got more energy.
And getting winded while walking up the stairs. That might have something to do with it. But anyway, Met game was a total dud. Really was just nothing to pay attention to. I found myself really locked into the Yankee game. That was fun. Two really good teams in the Yankees and the Orioles. And, of course, you get the walk-off with the Volpe sac fly and the Aaron Judge home run to tie it. So probably this was in my head because we were talking about LeBron James and Steph Curry and Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan and watching greatness unfold. That's probably why this thought was in my head last night with Aaron Judge. But if I were to ask you, Aaron Judge is the best baseball player in New York since, what's your answer? In your lifetime. Obviously, we're just going to stick with guys that we saw. We're not going to get...
I would say...
I saw Mickey Mantle.
I would say best player I've ever seen.
Ever seen
and
in
if
New
you
York?
ask me since, then I would say since Don Mattingly.
Okay. So it's the best player. So, all right. But if you're taking one of them, then...
I'm taking Aaron Judge.
You're taking Aaron Judge.
And before anybody starts yelling and screaming about Paul O'Neill and Tino Martinez and Derek Jeter and Mike Piazza and all these guys, and Jeter being Mr. Clutch and all that stuff,
yeah,
I'm taking that out of it. I'm talking on a day-to-day, the way he plays his position, the way he can play right field, the way he can play center field, the way you can put him in left field, the way he can hit for average, the OPS, the driving and runs, the scoring runs, the home runs. He has to be, in my opinion, in my lovely 49 years, probably the best player I've ever seen.
When he is going the way he is going, and when he's having a year like he had last year, I don't think I've ever seen a guy as dominant as him in New York baseball as well.
I agree.
I don't think so. Now, I was thinking long and hard about this because there are other factors. Now, the other factors are the fact that his postseason performances have not been great, and he's had a lot of injuries. But if you're talking about when he's healthy and he's on, he's as impressive as anybody I've ever seen. Now, Mike Piazza was a guy that I felt sort of the same way about, but Mike Piazza defensively was not very good.
Right.
And he also was a guy that I felt like he had the propensity for the big moments. But there were other times, too, much like Judge, that I feel like when he was off, he was off. I mean, there were 2 week stretches there.
Slumps.
Right, exactly. And Aaron Judge has that as well. But, I mean, I guess the separation would be there with the defense with Mike Piazza as a catcher, and then thinking about moving him to first base, and he can't throw it down to second base anymore. And Aaron Judge right now has been a borderline dominant defensive player out in the outfield as well. And then thinking about Jeter, I mean, lots of people are going to say Jeter. Now, when you watched him, you always thought that he was going to do something special, always come up with the big hit. He was great early on in his career defensively, of course, fell off when he was a little bit older. But can we sit here today and say that Aaron Judge was a better baseball player than Derek Jeter? Or is it more impressive because of the things that he does? And that's where I sort of stop. You know what I'm saying? That's where I stop and I really think about it. And it's hard for me at this point to say that because of the sustainability of Jeter. Now, of course, Aaron Judge, he's got many, many years to play still. But if I'm going to definitively make that statement today that Aaron Judge is the best baseball player in New York that I've ever seen, I think it stops. I think it stops at Jeter.
Yeah, the problem is you've got 20 years for Jeter. You don't have that yet.
Right.
So I'm telling you on a day-to-day basis what I have watched. From this point, or to this point, he's the best I've ever seen. And that's not a knock on anybody. I'm talking about a guy that can hit for average, a guy that can hit for power, drives and runs, defends, has a monster arm. Like, what doesn't he do well?
Right. I mean, the only thing he doesn't do well is hitting the postseason.
Okay.
That's, which is a huge
I'm not
thing.
arguing that point. I'm talking day to day,
Right.
what I'm watching in May, June, July, August, September. Derek Jeter might be the best postseason player I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that fact at all. And he was a great player, first ballot Hall of Famer, all of that. I am not arguing that one bit. But if you're asking me, and it's not recency bias either, because I can go back to the Mets in the 80s, and as much as I loved her, I mean, I gave you Don Mattingly.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, to this day, and I will continue to do this, the fact that Don Mattingly is not in the Hall of Fame to me is a crime because he was one of, if not the best player in baseball for a period of 5 or 6 years. I'd rather that guy in the Hall of Fame than the, as we used to hear, the compiler that put up numbers because he played for 20 years. I'd rather he was unbelievable. So for me, I would take Aaron Judge.
Yeah, I think the only real difference between Derek Jeter and Aaron Judge at this point when you're talking about them in their prime when they're at their best is the power. I mean, that's really it. Because everything else, personality, leadership,
very similar.
Defense, want him up in a big spot, all those things. I mean, really, it's just the fact that Aaron Judge is a prolific home run hitter and Derek Jeter obviously was not. But it didn't make him any less of a superstar, obviously.
He also hits for average.
Yeah, right, of course. So, I mean, that's really the thing that separates him. It's just, I guess it's hard for me to say that at this point, but it's getting close, man. It is. I mean, when you watch him, and in baseball especially, when a guy is that good, it stands out more than I think in other sports because of the monotony of baseball and the fact that there's so many games. And then this guy, you want to see every one of his at-bats, and the regular season is special.
Yeah.
He had a special regular season. There's a lot of these superstars that we see in other sports, well, football aside, because football actually has these long regular seasons, basketball, hockey, baseball, where night in, night out, you get used to them, whatever, 30 points, averaging 30 points, averaging a double-double, whatever, and you're just like, okay, fine. But I can miss a game, and it'll be fine if I don't see him. Aaron Judge is at that point in his career where you feel like if you miss an at-bat, you might miss a 550-foot home run.
That sails out of Yankee Stadium.
Right, with the game on the line that he just relaxed, went up there and hit.
I agree.
You feel like you're going to miss something with him.
I also think, too, and this is, again, please don't misunderstand this. This is not a knock on Jeter at all, because watching him was amazing for the 20 years that he played. And, he was one of those guys, even at the end, when he still was diminished as to what he was in his prime, was still really good. And you still enjoyed watching him. I don't know, he had his slumps like everybody does. But I could also make the case that you remember the whole thing with him and A-Rod.
Oh, yeah.
And what was the name in Boston?
Nomar Garcia
Parra.
Yeah.
You can make the case he wasn't the best of those three at the time. It worked. He was the right guy here for the Yankees, and he was the face and the captain, and he was Mr. Clutch. All of that's true. You give me a better outfielder than Aaron Judge. Collectively, the outfield play, the arm, the power, the average, everything. He's got to be, in my opinion. You can give me Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani because he pitches once every fifth day, whatever.
Bryce Harper's
another one.
Those guys are close, but Judge is better. Yeah,
he is the best player in baseball right now.
Yeah, I don't think that it's a point that can be argued right now as we sit here today. It's a point that I think it can't be argued. Now, of course, Mike Trout's won the multiple MVPs and Shohei Ohtani as well, and the stuff that he does. And people will say that Ohtani's the best baseball player, and that's why I'm kind of separating that because Aaron Judge does not pitch. I'm talking about in New York.
Yeah.
What we have seen in New York. And it's a tough thing to try to come up with somebody that in their prime has been as dominant as this. And I don't believe that it is recency bias. I don't think it's just because we saw him last night do something special again, or we've seen him on this tear with home runs. I don't think it's that because we've seen a lot of this. We've seen, we were not, 3 years old. When we were watching Derek Jeter and Mike Piazza and everybody else. I have great memories of that, and you're a few years older than me. You've got probably even better memories of that. So I don't think that we're just forgetting about that or have short memories and just moving on from guys. I really do believe that what Aaron Judge is doing now is as spectacular as anything I've ever seen in New York baseball. And the Jeter stuff, we'll see at the end of it. We'll see, and he might not get as legendary as him with all the championships. But when you're talking about an individual basis, plus you had unbelievable teams. I mean, those teams that Jeter
Correct.
played on were much better than these Yankee teams. And I'm not talking just talent-wise, just all around. Just much, much better. Now, I kind of separate the pitchers just because I think that's a different conversation.
Sure. I
You're
agree.
talking everyday player because there's certain guys that I could say in their prime, watching Jacob deGrom, Doc Gooden, Mariano Rivera, those guys were as dominant as I've ever seen.
But different.
But yeah, it's a different thing. It's totally different. Every fifth day, Mariano, obviously a closer, pitching 1 inning, 2 innings at most. We're talking about a guy every single day, mostly every single day, except when he's on the IL. You are not missing an at-bat, and there's 4 of them a game in probably whatever, if he's healthy, playing 150, 145 games.
Now, that's the part of the conversation, which is why you have to revisit this in 10 years. Because if he ends up with an injury-marred career from this point forward, then you can't have that conversation.
Sure.
But watching him on a day-to-day basis, and we had the luxury of watching him play I don't know what the number is, but I think it was over 150 games last year, and if not, it was right around 150 games. Watching him every single day, so for me, growing up, I could not miss an at-bat for Darryl Strawberry. I couldn't. I loved watching the guy play. He had the tools to be that because of outside issues, as we well documented. He never became the player he could have been. He was a great player for sure, could have been better, could have hit more home runs, but he had his issues. And then when he went to L.A., they became magnified, and his career had a very weird trajectory. But like Strawberry, when Judge is up, you watch. Yankee fan, not a Yankee fan, you watch because of what you said. He might hit the ball into someone sitting at the Hard Rock at Yankee Stadium, and you never know, like I'm crashing through the window. I mean, he's that spectacular
He
to
broke
watch.
that sign in Toronto.
Yeah. So to me, I don't know anybody, as you use the word dominant, and I think that's the right word for him because he seems like he's playing, man, when he gets going, I've seen guys go on tears. This guy is on another level.
He doesn't miss when he's locked in. I mean, you can't get him out. I mean, you're either going to, and this is what we were saying last year throughout most of the season. Like, why aren't these pitchers treating Aaron Judge like Barry Bonds in his 73 home run season? It's like they were pitching to him.
Yep.
The entire year they were pitching to him. And he's locked in, and obviously it was an 0-2 pitch last night, right, that he hits the home run on.
An 0-2 hanging curveball.
Right, and he's never missing that. He's just not.
Probably looks like a beach ball to him.
Right, and that's why I think, the conversations about, and these things can go in many different directions, and I think the conversation really is about, in their prime, when you're watching them, who is the best baseball player that you've seen in New York in their prime. Now, not over the length of their career. Like, there's a lot of conversations. There's some people who were watching the NFL many years ago that said, like, Gale Sayers was the best running back that they ever saw in their life.
My dad says that, actually.
Yeah, but he didn't play for very long, and then he kind of gets lost in the conversation, even though he was a Hall of Famer. It's stuff like that. There's longevity, and then there's in-the-moment stuff that's going on right now. And the fact that he is backed up that season last year with the start that he is on now and he got paid on top of it is truly remarkable.
And there's also the fact of him playing here and handling it. How many guys, I'm not one of these people that believes New York is that different anymore. I think years ago it was in terms of the media coverage. I think with the internet now and with the way sports media has exploded, I think it's difficult anywhere you play. And social media has made it hard. I don't care if you're in St. Louis, San Antonio, New York City, LA. I don't think it matters that much anymore. But it still does matter to a certain degree. We've seen guys come here and just poop the bed and then go somewhere else, and they're back to being the player they were. This guy doesn't skip a beat. It doesn't matter where he's playing, who he's only played for the Yankees, but he's handled it unbelievably well. You mentioned the moment. To me, it's even more than the moment. It's carrying. He doesn't seem like he has an issue putting the team on his back. And right now, I feel like that's what he's been doing.
I don't love taking calls in the first segment, but I have to because this man is calling from Thailand.
Thailand?
And that's the first time
Wow.
I've seen Israel. I have seen Hawaii. I've seen Canada. I've seen, I believe, maybe Australia once. Sydney and Rome. There was a guy who used to call from Rome all the time. I've never seen a caller from Thailand. Let's go to Bobby in Thailand. What's going on, Bobby?
Hey guys, how you doing? Originally from Central Islip.
Nice.
Living in Thailand for a dozen years.
Nice.
Hold on. Why did you go to Thailand? For work or just?
I came for a holiday and I fell in love with it.
Really? That's incredible. Good for you.
So I've been here quite a while, and I love it. It's 5 o'clock at night here. I watch you guys every night at 5 o'clock.
Wow, that's amazing.
And Dan Patrick at 8. So I have a great night every night.
All right, very good. What do you want to say about A-Rod?
Well, I tell you what,
yeah.
I'm a long-time New Yorker. Mattingly, to me, 6 years period, spectacular. Judge, 6-year period, spectacular. A-Rod, 6-year period, spectacular. Everybody hates A-Rod, but
Not me.
you got the numbers to back him up.
No, Bobby, I'm actually one of these guys. I'm more of an A-Rod fan than a lot of people are A-Rod haters, and I know there's a lot of them. I thought about A-Rod, and here's why I take Judge. I felt like in many spots, and I know the 09 run was unbelievable. I'm not taking that away from him. But I felt like there were too many times here where the pressure looked like it got to him. I mean, that you would see it with the gum chomping and the gripping of the bat, and he would go through.
It did.
But
Judge
tremendous
hasn't
player
really done
now.
much in the playoffs either yet.
100%. You're right about that. The other thing is, I didn't really see A-Rod play in Seattle other than when he played the.
Okay.
So I couldn't really speak to that other than what the numbers
66,
said,
so I
and
got a
also
lot
in
of
Texas,
experience
not
on
too
you
much.
All right,
So
Bobby,
I've
you have a
watched
great.
a lot of baseball.
Yeah,
Understood.
You have a great day out there in
Take care of
Thailand.
yourself. Stay safe.
Thank you.
All right, Central Islip to Thailand. You know.
Went there for vacation and never wanted to come home. That is amazing.
Yeah, what
I
did
was
he
like-
tell you? He's arrested, and he was actually.
He
just-
did not. He did not
That's
say
why
that.
he didn't come home.
Listen, I went to Phoenix a few years ago. Almost didn't come home.
Yeah,
But that's not Thailand.
Well, I mean, listen, I love Long Island. I love all the ice slips, but I mean, if you grow up in CI and you go out to Thailand, I can understand not coming back. The other thing about A-Rod, too, and I don't want to do this discussion because I am not been somebody who is hard on the steroid guys, and I think they should be in the Hall of Fame, but that obviously has to be part of the conversation.
Well, but it is part of the conversation because I think that is part of what we're discussing.
Yeah, right. It is. And there's been no suspicion with Aaron Judge. If there was, it'd be a different conversation. But with A-Rod, we know he lied about it. We know he got caught. We know all of those things. And we don't really know, what some of those years would have been without certain enhancements. And, of course, his personality during those times was not great. I mean, he did basically tossing Yuri Sukart into the propeller.
He had some issues.
I mean, that was not great either.
He had some issues.
All right, it is Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network.